have Cataclysm, have the Flag and Drag to interact with terrain, really big. So we'll see if that ends up being, with that Jarvan just taken away so early, if AL does end up going for some more immobile carries, immobile looks, or maybe that Rumble first pick in particular. Because now with Aurora and Ambassa off the board, I think the Weibo are going to be really pressured to ban away a Rumble here. We'll see if they have anything else they might want to take away, like the Trundle.
I have to see. They're going to take the Trundle away. Yeah, so Flandre should just
Rumble.
lock this Rumble in. Yep, as expected here. So Flandre going to be put in a pretty big spot. He's been on sort of tank duty, played Ornn and Sion, and now we thrust him to the forefront.
I think the difficulty now is that you feel pressured to go for something like a Rise, because this can be blinded by Xiaohu. Breathe could play at top. Maybe we haven't seen it from him yet this year, but it is like a phase rush counter you can take into the Rumble. But from there, I mean, if this is now a Rise mid you're expecting for AL, Shanks plays Yone. Xiaohu has not played Yone all split. And you could run like Sejuani Yone, just like a really strong comp identity, and play to overwhelm here if you are AL. That said, Varus has been banned away in some of our past drafts. That is still up on the board, was not picked up by Weibo. So Weibo leaving up a couple of these champions that have dominated the year, but have seen nerfs later in the year, with Poke Varus being taken down a peg or two, and now Rumble being taken down a peg or two in this current patch. We'll see if that ends up making a difference in this one.
See if Ale can supersede those problems. And with the rise in Corki already, I know we always have this combo whenever we see Varus, especially as of late Cubby. Don't think on hit is really viable into already what Weibo are showing. They're going to have to index further into just the playmaking and the burst. So, especially with the Nico locked in here, you know what? I don't even want to talk about what that does for the Varus. I'm just glad that we get Kael on the Nico. He's called Nico Merchant for a reason.
Yeah, I'd love to see Xin Zhao picked up here, honestly, by Weibo. But, wow, they feel really pressured to take a top lane pick. And I'm expecting Cassante. Yeah, I think that's just the best pick left to go into the Rumble if you're not willing to play around with that Rise flex. I wanted Xin. I think that the Crescent Guard, you can sometimes play around with knocking Nico out, marking her. Also, that Crescent Guard, incredibly valuable going up against a Poke Varus and a Rumble, as you can completely nullify the damage of an Equalizer or those Chain of Corruption combos coming out with the Piercing Arrows. So, fully expect AL to take Xin Zhao away with one of these two bans here. We'll see where they go from there.
They have to. It is.
If you don't remove Xin here, I think it's a very poor decision. Removing Rel is fine. I think that's the best matchup that's left against Nico. I mean, you could remove Karma. I will say, I think there is some validity to a Karma ban. It's a thematic counter against Rumble with the Mantra Shields, and you can get out of the lane against the Varus and Nico a little bit better. You're still vulnerable to getting blown up in the mid game. So if they want to ban Karma away here, I think that has some validity to it, but I think you just take Xin Zhao away.
Should be the ban. Quickly want to point out, love these bans from, they're going to take the Bard. Okay, so we're going to give Xin here. So
I mean, that will be a contested pick later on. Like, Kael and Chris can both play the Bard. I think AL really wants to get their hands on Bard this series.
Especially now that we know we're going much further in.
Yeah. Definitely think that Fearless in mind in terms of taking that Bard away here. It's not a bad pick given like what's showing. Just think Fearless is in mind. Did mention the Karma. Karma going to come out. Thematic counter now going up against AL. And let's see how AL rounds this one out. As very curious. Yeah. But again,
like, a lot of the Rise damage or the Corki damage initially.
It does, but playing Xin of the Karma can feel kind of bad. Again, like the slows and the Mantra Shield can sometimes just be enough to get away from that initial onslaught from Xin and try and reset fights from there.
I wonder if I's better here. Like picking out the Corki, picking out the Rise early and punishing them. The Zin's going to come across as too valuable of a champion.
I think if you give away Xin with a Karma, you're incredibly trolling. So I think you almost have to take Xin now to like not play into it too. Some of that logic as well.
What does Shanks want here though? He's lost
just
Cass and Yone. Yeah, okay, so Victor. So we're playing the space game, right? If we're AL here.
Yeah, I think it's a Victor pick here. You have late game insurance now with scaling, a little bit of stability, and the slows can help connect with Rumble and Varus combos. But AL took definitely a much faster comp this time around, and Weibo going to have to put the pieces together. They're going to be scaling into this game a little bit. Need to get that Rise to the double scaling, evolved items. Want to get that Cassante to later levels where past 16, you're going to be really happy going into that all-out mode. And then definitely have to survive the early onslaught between the Nico and the Equalizer coming down, and some of those big team fights that AL will be presenting Weibos. So definitely a bit of a different game. I feel like this is the first game we've had in the Series Slayer where I can definitively say anyone's Legend has to play faster as a team, given the 2 drafts that we have.
This is such a monster Nefiri angle for Tian. Just no real big tanks to worry about. Like, you can feast on this comp. So Tian, our MVP of game 2. Again, I'm so excited to see him lean into these damage dealers. You know that Xiaohu is playing these facilitators mostly. Breathe has some tanks that he can lean into, playmaking with the Cassante, maybe the Gnar later. So why not go for this if you're Tian? Why not capitalize on how the jungle meta has shifted in that aspect? Can he out-jungle Tarzan? A tall task that nobody has consistently been able to do here. But Weibo looking to go up in a series where I didn't have them winning a game. Many didn't have them coming out on top to get themselves to match point. Would definitely bring some shock and awe to the LPL.
Time's their friend in this game. Gonna have to see if Weibo can get there. That Nefiri in particular. Gotta look out for Nico and Xin Zhao, but not a lot of tools to really lock him down, and definitely could get rolling going into that Victor as those empowered rune prisons. I mean, Rise Nico is really one of the first pairings that we saw. Rise Nefiri, one of the first pairings that we saw with Nefiri that really made this champion look so strong after that like little rework that Nefiri had, right? Switching the W and the R. So see if Tian can cash in. Was a big assassin in the last game. Gonna have to see if he can be big again in this one.
Man, our teams are not waiting for these Gyos that seem to just grow with more and more fervor as we get later into this series. Game 3, we are on to the Rift here. We can see a couple, you know, pretty big stylistic choices. Want to point out Hope is going to go for that lethality Varus and is going to grab the TP as well. So that gives you some extra lane prio.
There are 4 comets, by the way.
Forgives some trade. Yeah, and 4 comets. I'm glad you called that one out too, Cubby.
Damn. AL inspired by space this game, as they're going to try and be inspired a little bit by Arcane as well, as they have the right Victor skin, I must add. Try and work our way up here and see anything we see interesting in the runes. Not really, as I don't think anything's straying from the norm here outside of a some ability haste on Flandre's Rumble, the CDR point instead of the absolute focus. Might have been taken there. But overall, we've got Tian making it, starting on his wraps and doing the AoE clear on his way down. And we'll see if Tarzan's going to be able to answer, as he's going to be going top down too. So could see some action bot. And frankly, going to have to see if Chris can really provide enough landing strength to overcome the Nico here.
All-out poke war on the bot side here. And those health bars are as valuable as ever. Full clear advantage is going to go over towards Tian on one of those full clear demon assassin-esque junglers with this Nefiri. So both junglers are going to be mirrored in their paths, so they could intersect maybe on a bot crab if we see that come across here. Tarzan does have a couple lanes to really play towards, though, with this threat of the Varus Nico and the Rumble Cassante matchup. A lot on the dinner table for him. So we once again see Tian. He's done this virtually every game. Give a look towards mid lane in the early levels.
I am very surprised. It's actually Hope's first Varus game of the split. It's one of the most banned champions against AL and also by them. We're going to have...
Oh, it's only the slow.
Yeah.
Shanks should be fine. Oh, the damage gets close, though. Flashes straight in mid lane.
Interaction there with the flashes that came out were because Shanks flash that bought time for the E to travel. That empowered rune prison didn't connect. It was just the slow, as the E didn't yet apply to Shanks. So will still be the flash trade. And we did mention that back half of our conversation where we spawn in, right? Nefiri Rise, that's a pairing. A lot of single target focus between that rune prison and then Nefiri, that R being able to hop on one target. We'll see if they can cash it in on 6, as Shanks will not have flash up then.
Revisit and punish here. Crab, though, going to be gabbled up by Tian. Tarzan just a little bit late to that play. Is level 4, though. There's still some camps for Tian to contend with. He's got his Gromp and his Wolves to play for. Tarzan will shift his way back up towards the top side here. I wonder if we're going to get a swap maybe coming across. No, with that TP power, yeah, Hope is just going to come back bot side.
The best play Tarzan could look for right now is to take away the respawn Raptors of Tian. I think that he's going to do it. I don't know if that's why he was staying on the crab to give away vision. But Tian went, he skipped the Gromp and the Wolves to do the crab. So he did the Gromp, skipping the Wolves, and he's not going to be here in time. So losing out in the respawn Raptors does mean that Tarzan, for me, wins out on this first clear. Oh, actually, doesn't have Smite up for this one. We'll see if Tian wants to get frisky.
Flandre has Prio topside, so he's going to walk his way down river first, and I think that's enough to assuage Tian from going for that Smite fight. This game is definitely one where you talked about in draft, right? AL need to play fast. They're just waiting for old timers. This comp is so ultimate dependent in
grub fight, baby.
every lane.
Really want that grub fight. If I'm Weibo, I'm avoiding the grub fight at all costs. I think a 1-for-2 grub situation is quite literally the best that Weibo can do. I just do not see a world where they are going to be even close to being strong enough to fight for the grubs. And if AL pull off all the rotations possible for it, which would include sending Hope and Kael either mid or top for it, I just think that it has to be a straight-up give. Yeah, you're right, Slayer. AL is waiting for 6. But once they get access to 6 across the board, things can get quite explosive.
And the stark difference, stylistically, from game 1 to 2, we saw was agency in the mid-game for AL. We feel like that is always their sweet spot. So after kind of getting tossed around last match, we really want to see them succinctly not just use those ultimates, but set up so well for them. It's what they've profoundly done such a good job in game 1, disrupting jungle clears, getting lane leads, and then pulling the trigger. But it's actually Weibo that are looking to speed up the tempo a bit. This is one of the earliest Drake takes we've seen all series long.
Yeah.
That Ocean Drake going over to Tian.
Honestly, a bit of an expensive one for Tian. I think it really kind of slow. Like, he skipped over a lot of camps so far, and as the Fury, it's really important that you get the 2 items. So this does give quite a lead for Zen. Again, I think it just further feeds into the fact that we're dropping grubs. They took the Drake before 6 was accessible by the AL bot lane. I think that was very important. If you have access to Pop Blossom and Chain of Corruptions, yeah, your strength around that Dragon Take is just not the same. So I do think it's smart that Weibo was able to sneak in there. Also have mid advantage just with Shanks missing Flash still, and Ryze being a stronger champion at the moment in the game.
Gravity well slow. It's just poking. Shanks trying to get health bar advantage, so you maybe get a reset off here. And also, like we saw in game 1, it's Shanks helping out Tarzan to really continue to steal camps away from Tian.
And this is, again, I do like where Tarzan's at in this game. I think it's important when you're playing Xin into the Fury. You got to get a lead, whether it's for yourself or for your laners. The fact that Tarzan is up a level and change right now, it again just makes this grub fight like, even more and more of just a done and dusted, we're going to give.
And, you know, we saw it in game 1, right? He was able to take away these camps, but it's even more valuable into this carrying a Fury, where farm resources is so much more important versus that Wukong, right? It doesn't really, with Wukong, where your farm is at, it's more important for getting the ultimate, but it's just, you're such a resource-intensive jungler on the Fury. So Tarzan taking away camps here and there, getting himself a pretty big gold lead, the biggest gold lead of the game so far. It's big to slow down Tian, who's been just so deadly ever since he adopted this carry mantra for the play-ins and playoffs we've seen so far.
Yeah, it's like, oh, I can play the assassin? Sweet. That fits with what my mid laner likes to play, right? And my mid laner's on, what, Talia, Annie, Ryze duty so far this series, just like every other Xiaohu series that we've seen. Was I wrong about the grubs? I mean, Flandre did TP bot, so the Rumble ult's not there, and then Tarzan's late, so it's at least going to be one sniped away. I think that one Xin shows. But was the strength to Ryze enough? I mean, Tian still has Smite. They're
guarding for it. AO trying to burst down the door. They're going after Xiaohu instead. Phase Rush is going to get him out. Smite fight for the second grub is what we're going to get here, and it's going to be Tarzan to win it. So despite all the dramatic setups, it's going to be that 2-for-1 like you were talking about, Cubby.
Yeah, I think that it was an honorable attempt by Weibo. They used the most strength they could use, which was Xiaohu, to walk down and at least get one. But yeah, once Tarzan showed his face with the rest of AL, you got to respect the power of the Pop Blossom and the Chains of Corruption at this point of the game. So we'll give that one over, and it's no answer on the bot camps for Tian. So it is just going to be Tarzan feasting. Will be important to keep track of throughout this one, Slayer. As the Xin has a pretty significant lead right now.
Tarzan just trying to warp the game on his own here. Definitely disappointed in how flat that Zed had to have felt. As such an elite player the LPL brings. There is no AL without Tarzan. I heard Tabe talk about it all of the time. The spirit of anyone's legend. That is what Tarzan embodies for this team. Even with their long-standing members like you talked about, Shanks and Hope being a part of this organization for so long. But Tarzan comes and he brings them what they've never had. Split 2 champion, success at the international level. But domestically, Split 3 playoffs, summer playoffs is where you make your money no matter how big of a player you've been all year long.
Yeah.
And that's what Tarzan is trying to set himself up to do in this rubber match in AL's first playoff series.
Oh, I mean, I think that's a great shout, right? Because him coming into Weibo for summer was the game changer for this team last year. His Christmas.
I was curious if we're going to get to one of those crisp oopsie plays, but he doesn't get bursted down too quickly. Like it's a huge chunk back over towards Hope. But the Poke War is still kind of won here by AL. Oh. The problem is over the wall, Tian goes. Oh, that's a really good untargetable to use to get away from the Pop Blossom. That felt like a one-way trip that Tian barely escaped from.
I mean, it's a trade. I think you trade up in cooldowns by trading your ult as Neferi for Nico ult for sure. So, honestly, not bad by Weibo in the back half. I was kind of questioning why Crisp was fighting over that ward so hard, but at least they had Tian here. That said, it still was an ult used by Tian, and he gets nothing real for it. While that was going on, Tarzan's on a reset, so he's already going to be out onto the map with a Sundered Sky complete, maintaining that lead over Tian. I'm going to look to keep on cleaning up his camps and be strong enough to maybe look for this dragon, which I know there's a Roa complete on the rise. We'll see if it's answered by Shanks here, who did TP back and does not have that Roa completed yet. But I have to imagine it has to be Xiaohu on the rise. He's the only one that has access to priority here for Weibo. And any look at the dragon, they're going to have to build off of him first.
See some heavy trading in the top side here. The Flandre going to be able to stay safe. Low mana bar there for Breathe. A lot of dancing around this dragon, but Tarzan and Shanks have control for now. Tian's a bit late coming out of base just at this current moment. Light's fine with both his summoners up. And Weibo will take back control of this dragon.
I will say, we have not talked about the Rumble K'Sante matchup, and K'Sante being up CS is definitely a perk for Breathe. And Breathe is a good K'Sante player, too. I think when K'Sante first came out, Breathe was very good at this champion early on. So, yeah, I mean, again, Rumble got nerfed. I think, in particular, the overheat nerfs and the Q nerfs really hurt the tank matchups, and that being even right there is big.
This dragon is already claimed by Weibo.
Flandre is no TP yet.
Doesn't even get a steal angle, and Weibo's just going to walk on out with 2 Drakes, but Kael,
I mean,
trying to cut off an escape angle. He has to be very careful. Kael has been too hastily with his engages here. He's going to go for the Pop Blossom now. Crescent Guard pop. Kael though is getting hunted down by Tian, who's going to get an easy reset. First blood comes across with Equalizer on the backside. Crisp is caught. Flandre finds that trade kill. Realm Warp into the backside of the fight. It's only going to be Xiaohu trying to zone out Hope. Shanks is just not strong enough on this Victor just yet, and Breathe is trying to contend with him on the front line of the gravity well. Provides subspace, and Shanks flashes right into a wall, but he's still up. Xiaohu's going to execute it. Breathe goes all out after Tarzan, who doesn't have enough damage. He's going to desperately dash back in, but there's no kills to be found. Hope on the backside can't even find a piercing arrow. Good flash from Xiaohu to get away from that one. And now Flandre can't overheat. He's getting sent packing back to base. It's another huge skirmish win for Weibo to kick off a game.
This is massive from Weibo. It's a red side game. They're up, and Weibo's playing with their timers so well. Breathe had his TP first. You can see Flandre, his TP is available. It wasn't up when this dragon was started, so he had to walk to the objective, whereas Breathe TP'd there, and it was a better start for Weibo. I mean, they take the objective, but that fight, Kael's Pop Blossom got 0 value as Neferi and K'Sante used their Ws to nullify it. We're going to start there. Breathe goes unstoppable. We have Tian go up in the air. That Pop Blossom whiffs. Equalizer gets nothing on top of it, so the combo is useless. Flandre only takes down Crisp. And this fight in the long run ends up being so good for Weibo because Xiaohu and Breathe are just too damn big right now. Shanks gets one shot, fails his flash over the wall as he can't get out. And Hope can't really get involved because Xiaohu pushed him out in the first place. So his damage, I mean, it exists, but he can't take anyone down in the back half of this play. Xiaohu burned his flash and actually navigated the fight really well outside of that. Yeah, that is a massive win for Weibo.
And you just start the snowball of Tian on this Defiri. The Weibo fans loving how their team is positioned in this rubber match of a Game 3. And for all the intricacies of that last team fight, it was the macro setup for Weibo, that TP through for Breathe, that I think allowed them to get the ball rolling on that last play.
Yes.
And even, you know, pro play, TPs are such a big priority a lot of these fights, but TP timers are something even you can really rely on in your solo queue games. And, well, if you want to play like the pros we all watch and idolize, there's no one better to learn from than the pros themselves, and that's why we want to shout out our sponsor, ProDiff.gg. We're able to bring on some awesome guests like Rhino. We had music come on as well, talk about what they think of the LPL. So make sure that we get coaching classes from them as well as many others across the NACL, ERLs, and even the LTA. Use our code LPL10. Get yourself 10% off one of those critical coaching sessions.
Oh, see if Weibo can coach themselves through this Rift Herald well. I will say as this is being done, we'll see if AL goes for the attempt. They're so late on the play. It's going to be an attempted steal, but that's no hit. Man, I gotta say, this Cassante pick, this game, especially with the Rumble changes, Rumble's behind in this matchup. And I think we've seen a lot of games where Galio into a double magic damage team comp, you know, gets a lot of value, right? Just being Galio, you have that magic damage shield and W. I mean, Breathe on Cassante this game. Look at the items that he has so far, as we're gonna see a Merc Treads and the Canic Rookern already being completed. As I'm currently, every time I click, we're having a bit of issue with every time I click, it's clicking me in and out of this. Anyway, that's for us to figure out later on. But the Canic Rookern is going to be getting a lot of value because look at how far behind both Flandre and Shanks are. Like, how long is it going to be until we actually get relevant damage onto the Cassante? It has to come from Hope and Tarzan, who, I mean, how much work can Poke Varus truly do into a Cassante, right? Yeah. So I think it's a really grim game state here for AL right now, and this was the game where we said they really had to get things moving. I think we've seen these Varus picks run out of steam pretty fast, and then Rumble got a similar change where Q base damage down, overheat, auto attack damage, that max HP is down. We'll see if he runs out of steam here too, because I'm worried about AL moving forward in this game. I don't know if they have enough damage to get through a Karma comp in particular. They're going to need a Serpent's Fang on Hope for sure.
100%, yeah. Has to
and
be
even after that, I mean, Cassante getting in the backline later on could be really tough for this AL comp to deal with too. I don't think they have the CC to deal with Cassante. His two Unstoppables can deal with most of the CC. We saw him deal with the Pop Blossom really well in that first fight. So I think this is a tough one for AL, just given that they're down a K plus, and now they're fighting over a soul point for Weibo.
And they have to answer it. They're going to TP in. Look at Xiaohu. He's going to be able to walk back on this flank. Chris is going to flash away from this first engage from Tarzan. Xiaohu is out of this fight. Shanks is zoning him out. Chain Scrubs comes across. Pop Blossom over the wall. Is going to tag Light. They layer the equalizer. Light gets over the wall, though. Still going to come across. No. Tian is able to secure soul point. Breeze is going to flash right on top of Hope, who's completely caught out. And Xiaohu is able to pick up that first kill. Tian waiting in the wings on the flank. 5v4 advantage for Weibo. They're going to drop the Herald here and slow things back down. No need to over-aggress. Look to knock down the turret, and maybe a fight will break out off of this one. Herald doesn't get the mid-tier one just yet, but the might of the Grubs will. Weibo taking everything and leaving no crumbs.
The first two Pop Blossom Equalizer combos that we've seen have gotten nothing. Light flashed out of it, but it was a poorly placed Equalizer from Flandre that was late compared to the Pop Blossom of Kael. and a jungle steal from Tian as his smite rang true, getting a little bit of revenge from the last game. Zed smite's better than Kiana in the last game with his passive. This time around, the Fury smites are pretty damn good against Xin. He secures this one, but a very convoluted fight by AL here. And I think that Xiaohu, again, he's zoned out, but he has a big play. As we see, I mean, Flandre just laid on this combo. That's a very poorly placed equalizer. And Tian, I mean, he got the Chain of Corruptions on him, but there was no follow-up. Breathe flashing on the Hope just instantly deletes him, and AL running for the hills early on because those big R's missed, and their poke Varus fell early. So another bad fight for AL, and Weibo have full control of this game 3 now, Slayer.
What a case study this game has been, not just for AL's shortcomings that we've seen all across this Rumble stage, where other people besides myself aptly pointed out their panic over it, but also, again, I want to go back to what we talked about 25-17. We have this Rumble that's been nerfed in this game. Even patches prior, this Varus has lost more and more prio. The power of these tanks with, Canic Rookard itemization. We even saw it from Flandre in Game 1 on the Scion that really shut down the other nerf top laner in the Gwen. You're starting to see how these patches are starting to affect the LPL region as a whole. And with the whole playoffs and regional qualifiers in front of us, curious to see how much stock, not just Weibo, not just AL, but the rest of the LPL take in the changes 25-17 has brought and is now showing in a matchup like this.
I mean, look, like Shanks, he's already going for what looks to be a Crypt Bloom, just given he has an Apt Tome showing too. I think it's going to take 3 items for him to get close to being online here. Varus is still behind. I mean, Hope's going for an Edge and Knight, looks like, before he actually goes for the Miramana. Like, yeah, he's playing catch up. It's Tarzan, who has a bit of an eclectic build himself, as he has a giant spell at the Thunder.
Oh, equalizer. Is it going to be enough? Tian's got the burst, and he's got the pack. Ow! Tian gets himself another easy kill.
Otacon started for AL. Insta-TP from Xiaohu as he joins. It's at 5K.
Oh, this should just go over to AL, but huge. It looks like the fight's going to come out. Breathe just picks out and shuts down Kael. Crescent Guard comes across, so Tarzan does get the Otacon, but he is going to pay the toll for it. Kills to Weibo, Otacon to AL. But look who's on the flank again. It's Tian. He smells blood in the water, and no turret can stop you from the might of Breathe. Flies under the tier 1. Hope's down. Shanks falls next. It's an ace, and Weibo are wiping the floor with your split 2 champions.
Where do you place your panic meters now if you're AL? Because Weibo, it's summer, it's playoffs, and it's time for Weibo to see if they can make the run to make it to Worlds. And Weibo are looking to answer the call like they have done in years past, as it is a second game in a row where they are dominating our split 2 champions in the early and mid game, just playing off their timers better. I think their draft is more cohesive in AL. I mean, they're taking a couple champs. Again, like Varus Rumble, we've seen these champs run out of steam. They never got going in this game. And Breathe on this Cassante has just been owning every fight he's joined. He's just dictated the entirety of the terrain, how the fight's played in AL. I mean, it was a really a heroic attempt to try and take the Otacon. They're already down numbers. Hope trying to TP out. He gets flicked back. There's just nothing that AL can do, and we were concerned about the timers they had to play on once they got behind. Seeing those timers come to fruition as all the coaching staff for Weibo started to get excited now too. Different staff behind them for this split. Different head coach. It was Danny at this time last year. But this staff going to try and help them overcome AL as we have a soul to fight for and a TP coming in. Tarzan might be in trouble.
Getting slowed up. Xiaohu is 2 scaling items deep, and he's feeling powerful. Flashing after Tarzan. Crescent Guard's out, but Breathe is going to go all out and pull him in.
Yeah.
But he does lose a lot of his resistances, and he does drop. So jungler for top laner here as the dragon does spawn. But Tian being up, Cloud Soul feels like a given. The only way AL can shut this one down is fighting it their way through.
They have poke. They do have poke. This is decent for AL. I think Breathe went way too early with the all-out. I don't even think he needed to pop the all-out to actually pick up the kill. Big mistake there.
Rise on the flank. Walking down. Hope. Shanks has to flash out. His HP bar is gone. Flandre's going to TP back in. Xiaohu, though, look at how well he's just spacing. AL can't get close enough to him to really threaten that really juicy health bar. The Cloud Drake down below 5k. Realm Warp in. Xiaohu's going to try to get back towards his team, or maybe just force them away from the Dragon. There's the Pop Blossom onto Tian. Can they lock him down? No, he goes to Target Ball and takes the Cloud Soul. Tian gets it, and he's looking for the killer bite down last. Hope falls. It's another ace. Weibo are dominating the Split 2 champions, looking to go to match point.
A triple for the Summer Tiger 2, as Xiaohu has been huge in this game on the rise, playing the facilitators. We'll see if we can find a fourth one to play in the series. But Weibo continued to run away with this game. The poke for AL, just not enough damage behind it. As we saw the Varus, the Victor, firing off what poke they could. But it's a second item Crypt Bloom, a second item Edge of Night, and that doesn't exactly spell damage for the AL carries as Weibo survive, steal it off of a good smite from Tian, and advance.
It's just such great timing. Tian has been able to answer all these plays. Knows exactly when to go untargetable and smites in that form. I mean, these are just split-second decisions you have to make, and Tian consistently in the series, always making the right ones.
They had to try and kill the Neferi. It was their only play for the Dragon as long as Weibo continued to hit it. Smite secure did ring true from Tian. No spellbook support shenanigans in this game to get away from that smite hitting. As Tian, he didn't find the smite secures in the last game. Didn't matter this time. The smite secures were imperative for Weibo to keep pushing this game forward. As Tian's big, he's up a level and starting to push this Xin Zhao around as he is at that 2-item mark in the Fury. And Breathe is immobile.
I mean, he's just so tanky. It's all this magic damage that Breathe can just tank. Oh my god, but there's the AD damage.
There's the Varus.
What a big arrow. Breathe is down, and Weibo have to be walking a bit more on eggshells, but Xiaohu gets so much value in the mid lane. Drops to tier 2. They've got the Cloud Soul to provide more space. AL, they're going to start getting desperate, and I smell a Baron take that Weibo cannot let go unanswered.
I mean, Flandre doesn't have TP, is already disconnected, so I think this is already a tough scenario for AL. Weibo's goal is to push them off the top side here. They can return to play the map. They're dropping big middle waves, but Engage comes in.
They're going after Xiaohu. They get some snares down. Kael gets on out. Flandre, does he have enough damage with the Flamespinner? Yes, he does. Shut down. Flandre finds the answer. It gets AL off the Baron, but more valuable gold back to anyone's Legends.
Still not, I mean, it's something, but it's not the Baron. They have to fix waves. They get some time to do that. It's not going to be a game-changing kill, Slayer. The game-changing kill was the one that went down on the Cloud Soul. Because now, I mean, we get an early Elder. I think that there is a world where AL can be alive to fight for that, but look at the items. Even with Xiaohu just dropping, he is up a full item, pretty much, on Shanks. Corki's build is more expensive. He is ahead in items on Hope. Cassante is down in items thanks to Flandre, who just picked up a 1k gold shutdown. And we're going to have to keep our eyes now onto Flandre because he is the only member that is at 3 items. He is a full item ahead of the rest of his team thanks to that shutdown. And this Rumble has to connect in the next fight if anyone's Legend wants to have a chance.
Weibo's turn to dance with the purple worm, and they've got more than enough damage to cut this thing in half. AL, you can see how dark it is. They barely know what the HBR is. Finally, Tarzan gets a look. Do we have a steal coming across here? Yes, Tarzan does it! Baron easily secured by the best jungler the LPL has to offer, but can he get the rest of his team out? Because Breathe wants to make it a problem. Weibo angry that they lost that Baron, and they know they are much stronger to deal with. Tarzan finds one trade back onto Xiaohu, but Breathe is just running wild, running free. Trying to pick up more of these kills and set up Tian to find these trades. Look at the Karma Shield as Tian gets himself another kill. Going after Flandre next. Goes unstoppable over the Flamespinner. Tian cannot be denied with the power of Chris Shields behind him. Baron comes at a deathly toll because now Weibo might just march down mid lane. Weibo are looking to get to match point on anyone's Legends in the upper bracket.
That was a perfect team fight from Breathe. He found the engage on both carries and took the all out from onto Hope to connect onto Shanks as Breathe just went sicko mode in that fight on the Cassante. It will be Weibo showing a bit of restraint. They don't want to risk it for the end now. They know they have this game in the bag, and any mistakes that they made then could have led to enough tempo to set up an advantageous Elder Dragon for AL. Weibo don't want to risk that. They're going to take a clean reset before this Elder spawns, but keep your eyes on to Breathe here for this fight, guys. This engage was so sweet from him. After a very good steal by Tarzan. Flashes in, had vision from the Wazer, gets a great yoink. Breathe, though, that flash Goes unstoppable, finds Hope. This all out, gets him on the Shanks. So again, I mean, he's playing this fight perfectly. He just full combos Hope, perfectly placed, leaving in the autos. That's a great Q3 on the Breathe to make sure that Shanks falls, and any hope of AL had to do anything with this Baron just goes out the door thanks to a great fight played by Breathe on this Cassante. Continued on the Flandre too, but the damage is already done as he started that fight off by taking down both carries.
Talked about Weibo's top side being their most consistent players, and now they are taking over and looking to shock the LPL. Tian and Breathe putting together back-to-back MVP performances, especially if Weibo can close out a Game 3. They have all of the control over currently. Look at the timer in the top right of your screen. Elder, under 30 seconds away.
Yeah.
And the items just aren't close anywhere. There's no reliable damage for
Flandre.
AL to lean on.
It's only Flandre. It just has to be a massive fight from the Rumble, who is 16, does have the items, and Xiaohu knows it.
Kael, Pop Blossom. Gonna only grab
equalizer.
Breathe again. That's not who you want. It's Xiaohu, though, who needs to round more bounty. We'll get to safety, and Tian has executed one. Tian has found a second. The dogs are howling, and they want Weibo out in front in our series. Give Tian the triple kill as he continues to cement himself as the summer carry jungler to watch after. Crisp shields are too big for Tarzan to brunt, and AL are gonna get clean aced. AL are gonna see their crown start to rust in Split 3 as they are one game away from an early trip to the lower bracket.
Weibo Gaming, I mean, this team was really struggling to beat teams above them in the standings in this regular season. They're up on 2-1 on AL now, have a chance to win this one as Slayer. This was not what we were expecting coming into the day.
I mean, what a shock. It may hurt my heart as much as I love this AL team, but this is not the AL squad that I really fell in love with. Weibo just look like they are bred for these playoffs, and leaning into the history of this team and its players, it is so awesome to see that we've been howling for it. Can Xiaohu get back into that form that we've seen him dominate regional qualifiers in? We've seen him take over in the summer. So far through this series, Xiaohu is back and bred for danger.
I'm going through the last time that Weibo beat a team that ended up above them in the standings. That was week 2 versus AL when they just got back from MSI. Weibo beat them 2-0. And when it comes to Weibo wins they had in the regular season against teams above them in the standings, that was the only series win they had against a team above them in the standings for the entire regular season. They did not beat BLG. They did not beat ING. They only beat AL once. And now Weibo have a chance to really put our bracket into turmoil if they take away one of AL's lives here.
And that is so fun because Split 1 playoffs had its chaos. Split 2 saw so many magical runs, and with the early exits of WE and FPX, a big question that fans who want to see an exciting playoff run, okay, yeah, all right, here. Don't worry, producers, I prepared for this.
Yeah.
I am ready. I'm ready to wear this. It trolled me.
Your panic meter like broke. It's spinning out. You can see mine's like at like we panic, right? Like it's kind of like dipping sideways. Yours fell off. Like your clock is broken there, Slayer.
Yeah, my clock is completely broken. You know what? I don't need to break that out yet, but yeah, I'm prepared to look very silly, and I'm happy about it because there is nothing more fun, Cubby, in esports, sports, just competitive nature than playoff risers. And we had it in Split 2. It was WE. It was almost FPX as well. Weibo being that team with the names on their roster. What exciting conversations we have ahead of us if they can close this out. We've already had a back-end collapse of a best-of-5 once in the playoffs, and we are very early on into it.
I really want to keep our eyes moving forward just on Xiaohu's champion pool. Because when it comes to this matchup, I think that facilitators are so big for Xiaohu and for Weibo. Pretty much all of his most played champions outside of Aurora are gone. It's really the Silas that's left if he wants to make a big game impact. Because that game, I really felt Xiaohu's impact. I think starting off just trading flash for flash from Shanks, it had to be mid-prio. that they built any sort of lead for Tian off of. And Tian was behind against Xin Zhao for that majority of the early game. It was that first initial dragon fight that really sprung things in favor of Weibo. But from there, I think Xiaohu really ran with that game well. Even that last fight, the flash on the Flandre, it forced out a bad equalizer because Flandre thought he might die. And if he dies with equalizer up, like that's the worst mistake you can make, right? So that's like some of the small things I just love from Xiaohu that we see when he's on his game. Like that flash engage from the Rise, understand that he could live that, tank that, and then give Rumble bad conditions in a fight where Rumble was the person that we were like, okay, it's the only person that has items even close to the rest of the game. Has to be a big Rumble carry for them to have a chance to win this one. Xiaohu eliminates that. And that's on top of like the already very good mid-game plays that he had that really got his team ahead. And even just behind a supporting Pog performance from Breathe, who is probably the Pog for this game and should be.
We'll see. You know, stats junkies aren't going to see him scream out in this game. So we'll see if Breathe, because I'm with you, does get robbed. And this next topic I don't want to take away from Weibo, because I think they played a fantastic game, an even more dominating game than we saw in Game 2, right? But for AL, the worry signs from regular split are now showing up. In this game, you called it out. The pop blossoms from Kael, they were never on the same page. This team has become disjointed in their facilitating keystones. It's Kael and Tarzan. We're just not on the same page. And then, like you talked about, putting your damage dealers in a hole that stylistically they can't climb out of the way this game progresses with a poke Varus, with a Rumble that really needs to thrive on early items. This is what worried a lot of people about Anyone's Legends. This is what cost them series against teams like WE who didn't even sniff the playoffs.
Yeah, man. And I mean, for AL, like, how sad would it be for things to come crashing and burning in the LPL playoffs? Of course, they still have the most championship points to try and make it into the LPL regional final. Of course, they will have a life after this if this series does end up going sideways. But yeah, this game, pretty much after the first fight in the replay, that first dragon fight where Weibo wiped, just felt like AL couldn't get back into the game from there. We called it out early that Breathe had a lot of MR. He was going to be tough to deal with. We saw the one time he popped to the Varus, but that was it. Besides that, Breathe kind of ran this game.
It's a player that, you know, got looks, at least in my mind, for All-Pro last split. Not this split, everybody. Last split, was able to be really pivotal for Weibo in spots for them. You called it out. He was Mr. Consistent this split for them alongside Tian. And both of them really showed up in this game. Breathe getting back to what he was so good in split 1 or split 2. Just being such a nullifier on the top side. His Cassante was so deadly. He's back to doing that. But again, I want to shout out Tian. He's just brought this bloodthirsty edge to him now and saved it for the playoffs. It's now back-to-back series where we've seen him be able to play 2 assassin games. It was a Zed game and a Nefiri game against Ultra Prime where he was able to take over. Now he's got a Kiana W under his hands and another Nefiri game. Like you talked about, with how Xiaohu's champion pool is designed right now on main facilitators, he can thrive on these assassins, and he's done exactly that now against a tune-up series at Ultra Prime. And now the guy's holding the crown from Split 2 in the LPL.
Yeah, man. It's just crazy. I mean, there's a great sports quote that we always like to say, Slayer, and that is, class is temporary, form is permanent, or you know, form is forever. And Xiaohu, I mean, he is one of the most legendary players we have in league history. He has been a part of so many international finals, so much history in this league in particular. And yeah, it really feels like that class is starting to reach and become permanent. As
let's see if I'm hearing the bells. Curious if he ends up with this player of the game.
Could be a Pog.
It could be a Pog. I wouldn't be mad if he gets a no. Tien, another deathless carry performance. I'm loving the edge this guy's bringing to the jungle right now.
Yeah, man. I mean, Tian's been big. I'm a little bit surprised it was him. I think that he made a couple of really nice plays throughout that game, but Breathe was just such a difference maker for me on the Cassante. I feel like he was robbed a little bit. Was still my Pog. But hey, Weibo, if we're fighting over who gets a Pog, it means A, it was a win, and B, it was a convincing one. It's been 2 convincing wins in a row for Weibo, and AL backs up against the wall now. Going to have to turn the tides of this series in the next game.
They're going to have to harness whatever they can, get out all these negative thoughts of the form they've been in. Anyone's legend that need to return to their legendary status, or we've got ourselves another wild, wild west of a playoff bracket ahead of us. Weibo on series point out of nowhere. Game 4 coming your airwaves after another